Good afternoon, New Life kids. I am so excited to see you today through Facebook and YouTube and or your iPhone or however you are getting to watch this service today. This is Passover week. Passover, if you remember, comes from when the children of Israel were still in Egypt, and the 10th plague was that the Israelites had to go into their homes and they had to put the blood of a lamb on the doorposts of their home. And when the angel of death saw the blood of the lamb, he would pass over them, and the life of the firstborn in those families would be saved. We know that many, many years later, when Jesus came to earth and was born and grew up and became man and died on the cross, that he died during this Passover week to show us that we didn't have to make sacrifices anymore, because he was the once for all lamb that took away our sin and saved us and rescued us and made a way back to God for each and every one of us. So to kick off this Passover week, I'm going to read you a book called The Donkey That No One Could Ride. Tomorrow at 5 p.m., we are going to have our Good Friday service. I'll be sharing with you the story of the Last Supper, and we will be having communion together. So be sure that you have your bread and your juice ready to share communion with your family. On Saturday, don't forget to come over to the church with your chalk and make an Easter drawing somewhere on our parking lot or on the sidewalks, so that we will be able to show those to our church family at our Easter service on Sunday morning. Okay, and you have to do that by 7 p.m. on Saturday. And we want to feature your drawing, so be sure you're here. On Saturday at 5 o'clock, we are going to have a special guest read us a story. And we are also going to have a little cooking show with me. We are going to be making resurrection rolls. They're a really yummy treat. You'll like to eat it, and I think you'll have fun making it. And it's a nice little way to remember the story of Jesus and what he did for us. If you don't have the ingredients at home and you need your mom and dad to go to the store, here are the ingredients you'll need. The first one is crescent rolls. The second one is marshmallows. The third one is butter. The fourth one is cinnamon. And the fifth one is sugar. Just those simple 5 ingredients to help us make the resurrection rolls, okay? That is Saturday. And then Sunday at 5 o'clock, we are going to have our Easter service. You can watch the Easter service with Pastor Jim and Pastor Steph on Sunday morning. And then Sunday at 5, we will have our Easter service. I have some special guests that are going to help me with worship. And then I will share the Easter story with you. And those are the things we are going to be doing this weekend to celebrate the fact that Jesus lives again. He died for our sins, and that was a sad day when Jesus died, but he didn't stay in the grave. He came back to life, and he lives with us and in us and through us. And that is something we want to celebrate, even if we can't be all together this year. So the story I want to read to you today is The Donkey That No One Could Ride. The story is by Anthony DeStefano, and it was illustrated by Richard Cowdery. This is the story of when Jesus came riding into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday, which we celebrated last week. The story of this donkey is pretend, but the story of Jesus coming into Jerusalem is a real true story. And the miracle that Jesus did for the donkey of healing him and changing him, that is really something that Jesus does and wants to do for us. There once was a donkey, young, weak, and small, so weak he could carry nothing at all. Even when children sat on his side, he'd wobble and tumble and fall on his side. No matter how much he tried or he cried, this was a donkey that no one could ride. He couldn't haul stones. He couldn't dig ditches or carry rich men with their big bags of riches. He couldn't pull carts with huge bales of hay. Just lifting a feather would make his legs sway. No, this donkey was useless. No good at all. Too puny, too shaky, too scrawny, too small. Now, the donkey's owner was quite mean and tough. He said to the donkey, "I've had quite enough." He pointed his finger and said with a huff, "You can't lift a person, no matter how light, so take all your things and get out of my sight. Go away from here, donkey. Go away and just hide. What use is a donkey that no one can ride?" So the donkey was led to the far edge of town, pulled by his neck with his head hanging down. He was tied to a post on a small dusty road and left all alone while his tears overflowed. Left all alone and wondering why he was born to be weak and born to be shy and born to be frightened and born to cry. Just then, 2 men appeared alongside the post in the village where the donkey was tied. They came without warning. On that fateful day, they came and untied him and took him away. The donkey was frightened. He said to the men, "Where are we going?" And then said again, "Where are we going, and what about me? Please leave me alone and just let me be." "Keep quiet," the men said. "We mean you no harm. Just follow us quickly. No cause for alarm." They walked on for miles and miles until they got to a town at the foot of a hill. At the foot of the hill stood a man tall and thin, wearing a cloak and a beard on his chin. He had eyes that seemed sad and longish dark hair and a voice soft and gentle that floated on air. He said to the donkey, "It's time that you knew about the great thing that you are destined to do. You'll carry me into the city, we two. Into the city, I'll ride atop you." "What's that you say?" cried the donkey with dread. "There's simply no way. You've been misled. I'm just small weakling. You must go ahead and look for another donkey to take you instead. You see, I'm just hopeless. Ever since I was born, I've been subject to insults and teasing and scorn. My back's somewhat crooked. My legs aren't strong. I'm just a big failure who does everything wrong. Won't you believe me?" the sad donkey cried. "Just leave me alone and cast me aside. I'm just a poor donkey that no one can ride." The man looked at him with a face that was wise, with a warm, tender smile and love in his eyes. And then in a calm and mysterious way, he opened his mouth and started to say, "My help is enough. It's all that you need. It's all you require in life to succeed. The weaker you are, the more strength that I give. I'll be there to help you as long as you live. I know you feel tired and frightened and broken, but do you believe these words that I've spoken? Do you believe, I ask you again, do you have faith I can heal you, my friend?" For some reason, the donkey was sure that he knew. The words the man spoke were honest and true. They were said with such kindness and caring and love. It seemed that they came from heaven above. The donkey burst out, "I believe it's true. I believe," he repeated. "I believe, yes, I do." The man stretched his hand out and closed both his eyes. And then, to the little donkey's surprise, he felt a sensation he couldn't control from the top of his head right down to his soul. All of a sudden, he realized that now his body was stretching and changing somehow. Most of all, at that very hour, the donkey began to sense he had power. He didn't feel small or weak any longer. Instead, he felt stronger and stronger and stronger. He could feel in his body the energy flowing. He could see with his eyes that his muscles were growing. His back felt like iron, his legs like steel. His chest felt so strong, it just couldn't be real. "It's a miracle, it's a miracle," the donkey cried out. A miracle beyond any doubt." In order to show all the thanks that he felt, the donkey bowed his head down and knelt in front of the man who had made him so strong, with a beard on his chin and hair that was long. The man looked upon him with sorrowful eyes, then sat on his back and told him to rise. "We're bound for that city that's west of the hill. I have a great mission I need to fulfill." The donkey got up. His tears had all dried. With bulging muscles, he started to stride. No longer a donkey that no one could ride. Now he had courage and power and pride. He started to stride. He started to run. He couldn't believe he was having such fun. With a clippity-clop and a clippity-clop, he kept right on going with no need to stop. But as they drew near to the gate of that town, the donkey could hear a very strange sound. The curious noise made him perk up his ears. What could it be? It sounded like cheers. Soon crowds of people came into sight, shouting and waving their arms with delight. They were cheering the man and giving him praise, yelling hosannas and crying hoorays. It was amazing to see the love they expressed. They called him a prophet and said he was blessed. In front of the donkey, they threw with their arms flowers and garments and branches and palms. They laid all these down and started to sing, calling the man Savior and King. The donkey was happy. Gone were his tears. Never had people sung in his ears. Never was there a moment so sweet as carrying a king with palms at his feet. And all his life after, the donkey rejoiced that the king had made such a wonderful choice. To help with the greatest mission of all, the king used a donkey, young, weak, and small. So every year at Easter time, renew your hopes again. Remember how a little faith can give you strength. And then gather all your friends around and tell the tale of when a tiny donkey carried God into Jerusalem. And that is the story of the donkey that no one could ride. And boys and girls, I want you to remember that Jesus loves you so much. And he loves to do miracles inside of me and inside of you. And this time of year, when we celebrate that Jesus is alive, this is the best time for God to do a miracle. So trust him and have a wonderful day. I hope you will watch Pastor Jim at the Seder dinner. Print off your Seder coloring page and color the items as Pastor Jim teaches you about the Passover dinner. Remember, you are loved, and I'll see you soon.